Hello and welcome to Blood Rush League lower bracket round 4. Today we have Hadria versus Bleedout. And first up we have our first set of Artist with Casco playing Artist for Hadria. Looks like we spawned about 3 and we're heading straight to Shack. We get a bird hit on a survivor. And it looks like it's Jas and another bird hit through Shack. And this will appear to be our first chase. The question is, will we get a bird injured? Not quite, as Jas makes it flares out slightly and makes it around the Shack. We are running Corrupt, which will buy us a bit of time here on our first race. Shack Ballot does go down out of this. And unfortunately, our other perk, Ruin, is cleansed right off the bat. A bit tragic there, but such is the fate of Hex perks sometimes. And obviously we have Pain Res Agi is a very tried and true combo. Get to those Courage hooks, get some value, get some regression, get more time in the game. Will Jas go down to this bird? And yes, very good stuff here by Casco, leaving the bird there in the path of Nancy, forcing her to get hit by it. And then hitting her with a follow-up shot. As a survivor, running into the bird does not put the rest of the charges on cooldown. We have our first hook here, and Pain Rest goes out on our survivors. And we have some of our survivors here slamming away at the gens. We see the gen here at 3, I think, having some... we got a near miss, Killer Instinct. We'll send another bird there, and it looks like JD was working 3 as they're swarmed to get in a locker and clear it very quickly. Very good stuff by JD. But Casco here is defending this hook rather aggressively. The hook is all the way in the corner by 8, and if the survivors take too long here to rescue, it could be resulting in Jas going second, or maybe a very last second hook trade, which would be pretty risky. But the survivors are using this opportunity. We're getting some gen progress done. I believe all 3 of them are slamming gens, getting that, putting pressure on Castle. Considering there's no Ruin here and our only source of regression is Pain Res, it could be pretty tricky. Like, by the time they could concede a whole hook state here, possibly for 3 generators popping. But if Artist does have a strong 3 gen, we might need our 4th survivor here for more pressure. We see a survivor coming in by 9, but it looks like it's too late for Jas as they go second as we spot JD here going 10. Faults the window. Jas is now second. So we potentially have 2 gens here about to finish. And I have a feeling a second one will shortly. We get a noise notification in main. Looks like someone fast vaulted a window there, I think. And we get a hit on JD. Very good stuff, zoning them with the bird, pressuring them with the swarm, forcing them to be wary of those shots through the wall. Jas still on the hook, in danger here of being sacrificed. Hopefully they're able to get a last second unhook here, but JD being injured makes it they either are gonna have to reset and go immediately, or it'll be a 2-person save. But 2 gens finish in the background. Perhaps a 3rd gen could get finished, but it looks like Jas might die before a 3rd gen finishes, if they decide to commit to that instead of an unhook. Looks like we do get an unhook here by Duck. Duck takes an injury for that, and Casco goes straight for Jas here. With Jas running up to the 9-10 area, maybe trying to path the main. Do they have enough distance to make anything? They do have a pallet here. The lunge goes out, but a thing to remember is that Hadria is an EU team, and Bleedout is an OCE team. That was, I feel, a very, very definite ping hit. And unfortunately for Jas, that will be our first sacrifice here at 3 gens remaining. Sorry, Caster's Curse, 2 gens remaining. And we go into our 4-gen scenario. We go into our 3-gen scenario here in a 1v3. I am jinxing this. But it looks like we have a decent 3-gen, like 7, 8, very strong. And then I think the last gen was 10. So, it's all on this side of the map. 2 survivors injured is very dicey for Bleedout here. If one goes down, gets hooked, and the other one is down in rapid succession, the game could just end if they find the last one. But looks like Duck here is going to take them on, hopefully quite a chase, but, I don't think Duck makes this ballot. Duck will be going down here to a hit, and we will be getting our 4th hook and 2nd fresh of the trial. A thing to note is we have, oh my, what a pallet save by Bleedout here. Who was it? It would appear it might have been... Was it Renato? It was Renato from the looks of it. 6 hearts with that amazing pallet save. Very good stuff. So we don't get our 4th hook and 2nd fresh hook just yet. We could have probably also used that 2nd. Pain Res is... We still have 3 charges of Pain Res in this 3-gen, so Casco can cash in these charges if they get these downs right on these fresh hooks and really slow down the 3-gen. And that's one thing you want in a 3-gen. You want to slow it down with very efficient regression events and like depleting the area of pallets. But we are possibly looking like if Casco plays this right, this could be very well be a 4K1, maybe a 4K0, but it's going to be very close. Like very easily this could turn into a 2 or even a 3 out by Bleedout if they play their cards right. But one thing to note also is that Bleedout have been playing. They were, I believe, in a different tournament just a few minutes ago. So they had a really long game of 7 sets because of repeated tiebreakers. So they were playing for like 4 hours and 30 minutes straight. That takes a lot of energy, and to go straight into another game, especially one against a very good team like Hadria, that's a lot of pressure and can be very taxing mentally. But it looks like they're playing very well here, keep getting those resets, keeping our survivors out of injury. Hearts here I was gonna say Hearts being the only one injured, but once again they have decided to prove me wrong and they get that reset. It looks like our gen here in Shack was about 50%, and our gen I think up top is 40-ish. Oh, this is going to be a very interesting game. If Ruin was in play right now, this would be a very good position for Casco, but unfortunately, Ruin was spotted very early in the trial and taken care of. Ruin is such a either a very low value perk or a very high value perk. It's hard to find like a middle ground because either it's gone or it's not. And when it's not gone, it's very strong. Especially after the recent changes in the Karasu patch. We throw crows at JD, but we have to drop chases. JD's taking us to the opposite end of the map at 3, and we don't want that. We want to hold these 3 gens. We see someone in Shack. They slow vault into a locker and fast vault out. And we are going to enter chase here. I think it's Duck. And Duck once again enters chase. Will Duck get injured here? No, they make the window. And they don't get hit by the birds, thankfully for them. But Casco will be feeling the pressure here. Bleedout is playing such an exceptional game here, being very slowly chipping away at these gens. Casco has limited amount of regression events. You only have up to 8 per generator. And once those regression events are up, there is no way to regress that gen. Even if you slam a survivor on a pain res hook, it will just miss and hit a different gen, or if there's no other legal gen, just not be used. We get a good M1 there on Duck and a pallet drop by around between 8 and mid. And Duck runs to Carpile here at 4. Will we get... Oh, Firecracker has been used, but fortunately Casco dodged it. Casco goes for a read on the pallet, but Duck holds Shift W. And we enter Bloodlust Tier 1, and this means Duck will go down before they make anywhere. We get a pick here, and the last gen finishes. We're going to hook... just about here. Very, very unfortunate on that timing on the last gen. If the chase lasted maybe 5 seconds, if the chase was 5 seconds shorter, we could have possibly gotten a pain res, and that would have been very good for Casco, and would have set Bleedout back a little bit more and give them a bit more time to play it out. However, it looks like they will be attempting to go. Well, the question is here, right? Like, you could take 6 stages too fresh, or you could attempt to save. It's very far from the gate, and attempting to save does also carry its own share of risks. If it could end up with a worse result, but we'll see. But it looks like they might be going to leave us. They don't seem to be anywhere around. And they should be going any second now. And there they go. And that will conclude our first game of Artist, with Casco getting 2 fresh, 6 hooks, 6 hook states with 2 fresh hooks for Hadria, which is, I think, on Gas Haven, and considering how fast that Ruin went, a pretty decent result. I'm very excited to see what Bleedout cooks up next, and we'll be back soon. Hello and welcome back to lower bracket round 4 of Blood Rush League. Today, once again, it's Bleedout versus Hadria, and this time we have Bleedout on Killer with our very wonderful JD playing. JD been performing very well throughout Blood Rush League. Very strong killer, so I'm very excited to see how they play. And today we have our win condition being at 6 hook states with 3 fresh hooks or 7 hooks. And our Tycon of 6 hooks and 2 fresh. And it looks like our build is pretty much the same as the previous build with the perks exactly the same of Ruin, Agi, Painteress, Corrupt. We enter first chase here with Mr. Detective Tap. The only difference is one of our add-ons, we do not have Tongue. Instead, we have Matthias's Baby Shoes, which gives us this wonderful aura read near our birds, making playing these loops with high walls very strong. We get the M1 here at 5 as Tap runs main. Do we get a hit? We do, but we do spend 3 birds. So if Tap isn't forced to drop a pallet or vault a window here, he will clear birds before Artist can shoot again. You only can get those double taps if they start clearing immediately if you only shoot 1 bird, or maybe 2 birds if the target is very, very, very far away, like opposite end of a very large map. However, we will spot our 2 survivors here. We get a hit through the wall on Lara as they take a second bird, and we know there's another survivor kind of around here, and it's Tavo and Ace. We see one survivor run 8, the other vault into Shack. We chase down Lara 8 going 9 around the edge map. Will we get a hit through the wall? A bit of a shotgun here, and we shoot, and unfortunately it's a miss. Very good pathing by Lara to not get hit there, but however, it looks like there's pretty much a dead zone here, and Lara goes down at top of 11 by edge map. And we will be getting our first hook of the game at 5 gens in. Ruin is still up also. And this is a very good position. We get a bit of a gen missed skill check there, I think, by 3. And Bane Res does go out, hitting, I believe, Shack Generator. A thing to note is our Ruin is at 9. So if the survivors are around there, it may go very quickly if they spot it. However, we are on our way 3, trying to force our survivors off the gen. We spot an injured survivor. This is exactly what you want to see. So if you get a quick down here, which is very likely going to happen as there's no pallet here at 4, we will be getting our second Bane Res hook pretty much. It's right here. And we're going to be hooking 3. So we have 2 survivors here now hooked, 111, 1-3. Will we intercept and unhook? If we force a hook trade here, right, it'd be very strong for JD. 1 slug, 1 hooked, 1 injured running away, being completely destroys the gen pressure of the survivors, especially with Ruin in play. When you force survivors off these gens, especially at this stage of the game, where they're trying to get those initial sets of gens done, Ruin gets really, really big value, like ticking down 3 generators at a time. And after the recent buffs, it is pretty notable, the regression. But JD here doing a very good job, kind of like pressuring the survivors with birds while defending the hook. The survivor running main. Unfortunately, Lara goes second. This is maybe not what you want to see, as we do get 2 bird hits, 1 on Tori and 1 on Ace. So we see Tori and Shack, which finishes, puts us at 3 generators remaining. We get a hook trade here, which was pretty decently early in Lara's second stage bar. We might be seeing a tunnel out. We shoot a bird, but it does not connect. She goes into main. Main is a pretty strong loop if you play it right. However, Artist can shut it down quite a bit, and JD is quite good with these mind games and gets that hit. Definitely really hard to play a palette like that on high ping. We get the pick here, and it looks like we will be seeing our first sacrifice of the trial at 12. Yeah, Lara was hooked at 12 earlier, not 11, my bad. And we will be getting our 3rd fresh hook here on Tori. A thing to note is if JD simply just camped Tori out fully from fresh to dead, or even fresh to second stage, that secures them a win. As we have 3 fresh hooks, 1 more hook secures a win here for set 1 for Bleedout. So it's looking very strong here for JD. And with 3 generators remaining, it's going to be very hard for Hadria to not concede a hook state before get everyone out at the same time. We spot Ace here. Tap is very much injured. So we're going to be shooting some birds back towards the hook, trying to see if an unhook attempt is going to happen here. Looks like there may have been a survivor lurking, but possibly not. We do see some scratch marks, so there was a survivor somewhat in the area, very vaguely. However, Ace Rance... we do spot Detective Tap. They're already injured. Very And we are back at our hook. Sorry, my mic had a bit of technical issues there, but we are back. We are aiming some birds at the hook. We are about to see Casco go to second stage. And this will secure the win for Bleedout if they let this happen. Shoot the birds, and that is 6 hooks with 3 fresh. And I believe that is a set win for Bleedout, but we will still play the game out. We could still see some cool plays, and it's good. It's a good viewing experience to watch the entire game. So stick around, and we still do have an unknown set coming up, and it's always such a treat to watch JD on unknown, and I'm also excited to see Hadria Skiller on unknown. I mean, personally, I am a big unknown enjoyer, so a bit biased there, but always love seeing unknown games. However, we do engage in a chase here at 10 with Ace. Ace does a very good window vault there. However, JD gets a really good read as Ace wraps around the back of 10 and catches them for an M1. Ace spots for sure Ace spots the Ruin there, but at this point, I'm not sure if cleansing Ruin will be enough to secure any outs here. We are very much looking in the range of a 4K2. Maybe if JD gets some crazy hits here, it could be a 4K3 with 300 survivors. But it could be a 4K2, possibly a 4K1 if the survivors really get some good chases in, but it's going to be very tough. And we get another down here, and we're going to go into our 7th hook stage of the trial, putting tap at hook by 3. And we are looking towards main. Going to send some birds over by 11. No survivor. Are they working the pain res is the question, and I don't think they are, because we really want survivors on a generator here. We spot a survivor here on 11, force them off the generator. Ruin kicking in. Will they die to the birds? The birds will shoot. They barely dodge it. JD trying to zone them in as best as they can to the bird. JD turning around. Oh, I swear that must have been ping. And we missed the M1 there on Ace. Very unfortunate as they get the unhook in the background. Pallet goes down at 10, but Artist's Bird, not counting as a hit. It probably clipped some terrain, which made it not count as a direct hit. So it just swarms instead of downs, but an M1 as Tavo tries to slide across the pallet. And I have a feeling that might have been a ping hit. It's usually very tough when very close hits over pallets like that happen. It's sometimes it feels like that shouldn't have hit, but such is ping. We just have to play around it, and we will be seeing a pain rest hook being slammed here at 12, and our gens regressing even more as we spend our final pain rest token. We spot Tori here, but both remaining 2 survivors are on death hook, and we get a bird hit. We know where both survivors are. Will we get a cross map? This will be very cool if this hits. Oh my, JD. What a bird shot from 1 all the way downtown to 6. That's crazy. You love to get artist hits like that. JD is going to chase Tori here, and that cross map bird ends the game here with a 4K3 by JD. Very, very amazing work here as our set is given to Bleedout. GG's as our survivors are all dead. And we'll be seeing you on our next set of Unknown. And it's almost certainly going to be JD on Unknown. I can't imagine anyone else playing Unknown for Bleedout. And I'll see you guys very soon. Hello and welcome back to Blood Rush League Lower Bracket Round 4. We are back with Hadria versus Bleedout. And we have Bleedout playing their pick of killer here on Unknown. A very, very popular pick by Bleedout. And we have our wonderful JD on Unknown. Very excited to see them play Unknown, They've had excellent performances on this killer and looking very forward to this match. We are on Wrecker's Yard, and I would like to note that I will be using the OCE clock calls, which puts Carpal at 7, and instead of deep 3 and deep 9, it's deep 12 and deep 6. So we are spinning here. We catch tap here at the bus, and we get a hit on Tori. Will we get an injure on tap? And a wonderful bounce back trick, kind of making it look like it was going over, but instead bouncing back and hitting tap, and that results in a 2-tap here as tap had no resources to play with. JD once again showing us how to use that UVX, showing Unknown definitely has a very good M2 when you get those shots in. We hook here by deep 6, and we send our first Pain Rest of the trial. Our build is Corrupt Intervention, Eruption, Pain Rest, a very standard set for Unknown, and our fourth perk this time will be Agitation, which is a very, very popular choice on Unknown, especially with Pain Rest. We have seen several different kinds of perks used in the fourth slot by both JD and other killers. Brutal Strength is a very popular one. We've seen some Wretched Fate and a bit of Call of Brine in some of the other Unknown games. But Agi here, very good. And we have Footprint Cast and Obscure Game Cartridge, giving us more clones when we weaken survivors and very fast breaks for 20 seconds and vaults when we teleport. And with a teleport cooldown of 25 seconds, you could have that up most of the time if you teleport a lot. We teleport back, we catch Casco here for the peopling tap, and we'll be going down corner of 8. We will get the pick, and with Agitation, we are almost certainly going to get to a Pain Rest hook. And it looks like it's going to be here once again, deep 6. Next to this gen over here, and we send our second Pain Rest of the trial. We have a clone by about, I think we have a clone near 8, where Tori went down, and we have a clone around between 6 and Shack. So those are very, very strong clones here to return to hook. Do we see an orbital connect? Not quite, but it does land on the gen. Survivors were paying attention to the noise notification Unknown makes when they pull out their power, and to the UVX in the sky when they spit. So very good stuff here. Ooh, that would have been a very good bounce if it hit the tracks of the crane here, or the side of a crane bouncing into the outside, depending on where you think the survivor would go. Unfortunately, it clipped both the wall and the tracks of the crane, causing an insta-pop there, meaning the UVX just didn't go anywhere. We go put some Eruption out on the gens up here by 11 and 12. We teleport back, we catch Ace stopping that regression, and we get an M1 here as they fall off the ramp of the crane as they run down towards 9, using that on-hit movement speed to make this pallet. The question is, we do get a hit over the pallet, and a very fast break there thanks to Obscure Game Cartridge. We get our pick. We're going to throw another Pain Rest hook, which is right behind us. I don't think we needed Agi for that Pain Rest hook, I'll be honest, but gets us back into the action quicker. Oh my, what a shot on tap. Tap maybe deciding to stick the gen. That gen sounds like it's 99. Will we? Oh, we don't go back to greed the gen. However, will we get a spit here on tap? Tap has been clearing a decent amount. We miss a shot here, so if tap continues to clear, we won't get a second shot. They'll get a full clear, but they do get an M1. Man, these M1s, like lunging straight through these pallets is so scary when you're playing against a killer while on ping. Like, really have to throw those pallets early, and sometimes you still do them, as we saw earlier with our previous survivor in our last chase. We do find our Lauren. We get into chase with her. Oh, hit over sliding over the pallet. Oh my. Well, we get a spit, and we get a spit for a 2-tap there. Those very narrow corridors against Unknown is very scary to play when you're weakened, especially when you're weakened and injured. It's very hard to have space to dodge, because you can't really dodge left to right. First gen does pop at 11, which is fair. A very good spot to be. All 4 fresh hooks and 4 hook states at 4 generators. Perhaps a better thing you want to see is maybe 1 less fresh hook and someone on death hook, or 2 less fresh hooks and maybe someone dead. But hey, so this is still a position you'd be happy to be with on Unknown, especially with the average hook results of this killer being about 5. The average result of the killer is actually 5 to 8 hooks. So this is looking in the red. Possibilities of a 4K tap here. 99s their sprint burst a bit, and gets a very good sprint burst here into Shack, and drops Shack pallet and dodges the UVX by peeling onto the basement stairs. And then they make it out of there. However, we do have clones here at 3, with Lara hooked at 4 and a clone at 6. We have this area pretty secure. Also a clone at Shack. Survivors will have to cleanse these clones. But if JD catches a clone being cleansed, perhaps seeing the aura twitch while it's standing up through the wall, or just physically seeing a survivor cleanse a clone from on top of this hill, it's almost certainly going to result in a survivor getting weakened and getting a free hit, which could result in a very quick 2-tap with spit. We're going to be sending some UVX out there, almost connecting, I think, with a survivor running there. I think it might have been tap. However, we are still proxying this, and it looks like Lara will be going second. Our first survivor on Death Hook, and our potential tunnel out target in this current situation. We currently don't have any erupt in the play right now, but the generator by 3 is regressing, which is a very good thing, as it had quite a bit of progress earlier. It was pretty much 99. So that's tough for the survivors to lose out on that much progress. We get a kick here, but Obscure Game Cartridge is not in play because the teleport has not happened. And we spin on tap, weakening our injured survivor, putting them in a very delicate position here. However, JD does a very good double back there and catches tap vaulting over the pallet. A generator pops, 2 generators pop. As JD tried to read which generator the survivors were working to maybe stop a generator pop. JD's game sense is really, really good to know that generators were going to pop and not to pick up tap right away there. However, these 2 generator pops might just mean Lara doesn't get saved. They concede Lara for 2 generators, which can be a bit sketchy. They get tapped up. Will we get a hit over? Because of the pallet being down here, Ace receives a hit for free. We get a spit, and we might possibly very much see it down here as we go up a hill, giving us a bit of distance, giving Ace had around it, and Ace goes into the shot VX, gets hit by it directly, which results in about a 6% hitter, which I don't think would have mattered in that situation, but sometimes it can. Get a cheeky spit here at the generator by 12. But, oh, there is a survivor, but they pre-left very good stuff. It's always good to pre-leave when you think a known is somewhat nearby and you hear them, like, charge a spit. It's that little crackle sound they make, and you can hear it from a decent distance away. Ooh, we see S here from Tori as she goes over that window, but they do pick up very quickly. And we teleport right back here to Bus at 3, going up to 2. Ace has a pallet here to play with, however, Obscure Game Cartridge here, getting some value, and I don't think Ace makes anywhere. That break speed, getting us that down here, and putting Ace back on the floor. We can see a survivor running back to the generator here. We get a spit, trying to predict their exit path, but it does not connect, unfortunately. Will we finally see a pick on Ace? Ace does get picked, and we're going to put Ace on a hook, putting them on Death Hook. But a generator could finish out of this, but if JD guesses which generator they're working on, they might be able to force it off. And it's looking very much like Deep 12 is the generator they want to play. Or sorry, just regular 12. I don't think that's Deep 12, yeah. Main, spitting through the window into Shack/main. No one there, I believe, as the UVX did not hit anyone. Or they pre-left, but I'm pretty sure they are either lurking, like, or running away from the hook to try and pull JD away, but they do get the unhook. The gen is still regressing here at 12. Once again, putting that progress the survivors had, setting it back and wasting the time they spent on the generator. And at the end of the day, Dead by Daylight is a game of time, and wasted time is very, very negatively impacts the result for your team. We get a teleport going up between 12 and Shack. We see the Shack gen has a bit of progress, maybe about 20%. We're spitting towards 3. That 3 gen being at 99 earlier pretty much, and seeing it regress all the way must be so demoralizing from the survivors' perspective. However, the survivors also did really well, by the way. Go from 4 generators remaining there to 2 generators remaining, bringing up their win con to something a bit more manageable. And we see our 3rd sacrifice of the trial as Ace goes down here and is hooked at 6. We're going to go Erupt Shack, that very fast window vault, and that very fast kick, thanks to Obscure Game Cartridge. I feel this add-on is getting a lot of value this game, especially earlier when it resulted in that down over by 3 and 2/3. However, we do get the survivor picked up. We do get a reset going. Tari is weakened, however, and I believe they pretty much have an almost, they haven't cleared weekend that much, so they should still have quite a ways to go before they could clear weekend. And, you have to be relatively close to unknown, about 24 meters, and looking straight at them. So it can be risky, especially if Unknown knows you're there and is trying to spit at you. Oh, well, we see a lob here. This new patch, by the way, Karasu's new patch introduced stuff like that you could do with Unknown where you aim straight up and you could either shoot shots that land where you're standing or very close in front and behind you, but you could lob them over tall walls like in the jungle gyms here, which you couldn't do before because you had a maximum height you could look up before. But inspired by Freddy, I believe the devs being inspired by what people were doing with Freddy, no, not Freddy, Springtrap, my bad, FNAF character. They added a bit more, oh my god, that was almost a hit there on Ace. That would have been so cool. Oh, not Ace, sorry, Tap. But inspired by Springtrap and what you could do with the axe, you really can do those cool new shots. I've gotten a few myself. They're really satisfying to do. You could corral survivors into the UVX because of how delayed the landing is. Unfortunately, that was aimed a bit too high up, so it lands straight on top. But it does catch a survivor if they are in the cabin of Crane, and you do not want to be in an enclosed space like this against Unknown. You'll get shot through the floor, the wall, through the ceiling, through a window. It's all sorts of bad, and that down there with that wonderful spit through the front window of that crane will bring us to a 4K2 for JD and Bleedout. And we'll be moving to our second game of our second set. And we will be seeing Hadria's Unknown next. I am extremely excited. I love Unknown, easily my favorite killer. And I will see you guys in a bit. And yeah, hope to see you there. Unknown is really cool. Be back soon. And welcome back to Blood Rush League lower bracket round 4. We are back with Hadria versus Bleedout on our second game of our second set, which is Unknown. This time we have Tavo on Unknown, and they're playing for Hadria, of course. And we have our win con of 4K3 with a tie con of 4K2 set by JD with a very, very strong performance last game. We have pretty much the same build with Pain Resurrect Corrupt and Agitation as our fourth perk, with Obscure Game Cartridge and Footprint Cast. Very solid build on Unknown. Footprint Cast and Footprint Cast getting us those clones. I like both add-ons last game when JD was using them, got lots of value. And Tavo getting a very good spit there into M1, very quick down. Fortunately, Duck wasn't able to make any distance when they got hit. And with that, we'll be seeing our first hook here, and it looks like we'll be seeing our hook by, I think, around 5. Yep, and it is a pain rest, regressing our first generator here, sending it a bit back, giving Tavo some time to find it and maybe push survivors off of it. We hear some gens being worked on in the distance. We hear one between Shack and 12, and we hear one by one. The hill here provides a very good balanced landing area for plays near Shack. So the balanced landing person can play near the Shack area, which is very, very nice. An unhook does happen on Duck. Will we get a spit hit? For the people happens. Unfortunately, the UVX was a bit too much to the right, as I think Tavo was predicting the survivors to immediately run away from the hook, as generally healing underneath the hook against Unknown is asking for trouble. But when you have For the People, you could get away with it, as the heal pretty much happens instantly. But we teleport back top of between main and 12. We catch a survivor on the hill. They drop, however, they do not have balanced landing. They do, however, have finesse, but they still get clipped by that UVX, putting them in that weakened state. It's JD, our Unknown player from last game, and they flare out to the right, diagonally away from the impact point of that UVX, making that UVX not connect. Very good dodge there, and they will be clearing here. However, they did get hit directly, 6% hinder. I think it doesn't affect anything. A teleport does happen, zoning them away from this jungle gym. And that was a beautiful teleport. And we have our injury here on JD, putting them at between 10 and 11 here by this truck. And they do have a pallet by Edge Map, and they have this truck to play as a generator pops in the background, putting us in our win condition here. So we have to get some pressure going here. We can't let another generator done unless you want to be playing for a tie condition, which can be tough. Unknown is not expected to 4K very often. So hitting this win con may be a bit tricky. We get 2 erupt procs here, and we will be hooking another survivor onto our pain rest hooks. This is a very good, very, very crucial time to be getting these downs and spending these pain rest tokens. We want to see these gens regress here. Tavo doing their absolute best to get that pressure up, putting those eruptions on both 12 and 1. And they are regressing from about 50%, which is very, very good for them. However, we do have our survivors, all three still uninjured, and we are lurking by the hook. And it looks like Tavo DC'd as they strafed backwards up against the wall, unfortunately. I'll consult with the refs, and I'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Blood Rush League, lower bracket round 4 of Hadria versus Bleedout, with Tavo here playing unknown for Hadria. Unfortunately, we had to do a remake as Tavo's game crashed previously, which was very unfortunate. And our main recorder here for the streamer, unfortunately has a scoreboard bug where they're not able to enter the game. So unfortunately, we are a bit late into the game with one generator already finished. JD going. Sorry, my microphone, I was having a bit of issues there, as I am now screen sharing the game for our streamer. But JD was our first chase there, and we had a very good spit from Tavo over some rocks to down them. We are now in chase at 7 as they unhook JD. Lemon injured, Jazz injured, one generator done already. So just if the survivors finish 2 more generators, and we could hear a generator here at between 7 and 6. That's about, I'd say, 90% being done by 6 hearts here on Renato. Looking almost done. They get a wonderful pallet save through the ping lunge. That can be a bit tricky sometimes, I'll be honest. But the survivors will be in a very good spot here if they could get a gen done and put a bit of pressure on Tavo here, putting them on the win con, not allowing them to have another gen finished. However, if Duck goes down here and feeds a pain res hook, it might be a bit rough. And we do have a slight build change here as Agitation was swapped out from what we see is Dragon's Grip. We check a locker, probably double checking a head-on save as we crawl towards the window. We do see a beamer attempt through the back window of Shack, and instead of going for a pain res, we are going for a basement hook, which is fair. The pain res, there was one kind of outside Shack, but it would have sacrificed a clone, as a clone cannot exist near a hook survivor within a certain range. I believe it's 12 meters. But that basement hook puts them in a very decent position to defend that camp out. However, we are at our win condition, and we cannot concede any more gens unless you want to play for a Tycon. And without that hook on without that pain res on Duck, it can be very sketchy here. We do kick our Shack pallet with Obscure Game Cartridge, getting that very good value here, and we're spinning towards 6. Unfortunately, not getting anyone, no one at that pallet. We did see, I think it was JD around that area. Ideally here, I think we would want to find Hearts or Jazz out, and we want to get a pain res hook or a second hook on basement. I think both situations would be good. But we do Dragon's Grip, the main gen here, as a generator does finish, and that puts us in our Tycon, which is a very good place to be. We get a double spit here on the hook, infecting 2 survivors. We get a hit on Hearts. We body block Duck. Will Duck make anywhere? And we will get a spit. A Duck still had borrowed time from that hit here. And they will be going down under pallets, so there might be a pallet save attempt. Will we see one? Unfortunately, there won't be, as Tavo lunges out of the pallet, just in case. But this will feed... Unfortunately, it does feed a pain res hook, but right before the pain res connects, the last generator is finished. Well, the second to the last generator, but that does put us past our Tycon, and that will be awarding the set and the match to Bleedout. But that is a wonderful shot over that hill on 6 hearts. Oh my god, what a shot, Tavo! But like I said, we should continue playing. We'll still see what can happen. We've seen we can still see some very cool stuff happen here, especially on unknown. I don't know. I'm very biased again on this killer, but like I feel unknown has some of the coolest stuff you can do in this game. We go get teleport. We spot Jassos for the people. They vault the window, and is Lithe over here. Will they make anywhere with that distance they gain from Lithe? Unfortunately, there is no filler pallet here. Instead, they will be going down at deep 12. There is a Pain Res hook nearby. Do we get it before that last generator pops? And it's looking like it. And the hook comes now. A Pain Res goes out. We could hear a scream. And it regresses our gens just a little bit more. I mean, if they get the tunnel out here on Duck, I honestly think like you could possibly see a 4K1. It is a very possible situation here for Tavo. And these spits here are very sketchy to do. Almost there with that, but you'll do get the M1. But this results in Duck clearing. The worst possible outcome for a survivor there, and the best possible outcome for the killer, is if the point blank spit hits, it adds an extra 8 seconds as of the Karasu patch to the clear time of UVX to a cap of 10 seconds. So it puts you back almost near the max. And with the UVX cooldown of 8 seconds, it does give you an extra time to go for a second shot. But if you're that close, usually you don't make enough distance unless you have a resource available, and you very easily could get 2-tapped by an M2 into an M1. But Duck here will be our first sacrifice at 1 gen remaining in the trial. But they played exceptionally well, buying their team enough time to get past their win con and securing the match win for them. We are spinning over here. We get a really good hit on JD. Tavo landing some shots today, getting really good predictions on where the survivors will be playing and getting those spits in. Will we get a UVX down here? It's very tricky in an open area with the survivor that's expecting it and knows how to play around it. It could be very sketchy. The last gen finishes here as JD goes down at deep, I believe deep 6. We'll see when yeah, it is deep 6, as we can see Carpile there at 7, and the hook comes deep 6. What will our survivors do? We could always attempt for an unhook, or we could at this point, they could play for best possible result. If they leave, JD only concedes 1 hook state, but they do go for the rescue. This can be very scary. But with the match secured, it's fun to go for plays like this, see what you can do. Give Tavo an extra opportunity to show off some very cool UVX shots that they've been landing today. They could have probably M1 Jazz there, but instead they go teleport to cut JD off. They get the M1. The gate behind them here has opened, so I believe it's a gate at 8. But Tavo is doing a very good job at zoning them, making sure they can't get to that 8 gate. Jazz at the pallet, emoting to come here. I think they want to drop the pallet on unknown. They do. It's a very dangerous game to be playing with that pallet. Will we get the M1 here? No, almost. Maybe that could have been a very diabolical ping hit, I would say. But baiting the pallet drop there, as the survivor, is very scary when you're on ping against the killer, because on your end, you could have dropped that pallet and you could still get swung through it sometimes. And when you're playing something with as tight timing as trying to predict a killer's short swing, it can be pretty tough. The question is, where does Nancy go? We're doing such a good job here at zoning Jazz. They get into a locker. Will we see perhaps? No. Unfortunately, Jazz does go on hook here, putting Tavo here at Tavo at 7 hooks and 3 fresh. Not gonna lie, this is a very good result on unknown. It's just that JD's performance last game was crazy. Like a 4K2, almost a 4K3 or 4K4. Was very good. Will we go for another save here? And it's looking like it as both survivors creep up towards that hook. It's gonna be they have about maybe 40 seconds to play with here. 35-ish, going down to 30. They get a spit on hearts. A thing to note, with the new update, you cannot safely pull a survivor while you have weekend. And if you're very low on time and don't have time to dodge or clear the weekend or dodge the UVX, it could be very, very cooked. We'll get a spit here on JD, and I think they'll make it out here. They'll get the on-hit movement speed. The only person here in danger is Hearts if they make a misplay and not leave right away. JD gets hit here and runs at the exit gate, and they do make it out, and unfortunately Jas does not get saved. Very good body blocking there from Tavo. And that will conclude our matches today. Our match today with a 2-0 for Bleedout, but Hadria played really well, and this last Unknown game from Tavo was really fun to watch. Big props to them for playing Unknown, and thank you all for being here. I'm Mal ANZ, and I apologize for the technical difficulties today, but hey, it's not a stream without a few technical difficulties, I guess. And I hope to catch you all next time on our next game of Blood Rush League. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!